I'm Hanna.
And I'm Matt Hanna.
And this is Horror Hour with the Hannas,
where we talk about all of your favorite existential horror movies.
And in the wise words of Bodies, today's episode is a podcast about hanging out with your smartest and funniest friend. So we are joined by Jason, the librarian.
Howdy, y'all.
He's back by popular demand.
And by popular demand, he means by our demand. And we are here
My mom always likes when Jason's on.
As she should.
I have a fan.
As you should. You should have all of the fans.
But either way, if you've seen the title, today we're covering Annihilation. So, and Hanna and Jason also read it. I did not.
Yes, we did, in fact, read the book. So we will be touching on that quite a bit in the episode. The film itself is a cosmic horror directed by Alex Garland, written by Alex Garland, loosely based off the 2014 novel by Jeff Vandermeer, which, as Matt stated, we did read. And I say loosely based because Garland did not try to directly adapt the book. He took it in his own direction, and he allegedly had Vandermeer's permission to do so. He also had not read the other two books when they were completed because he didn't want to have to revise his script. And at the time that he wrote the script, only the first book was out. And when he was actually later informed that some of his story actually incorporated bits and pieces of the sequels, he was surprised. So he definitely did not read them and definitely went his own direction. I had read somewhere that he was trying to keep a dreamlike state to the film by doing his own thing.
It's pretty surrealist. I feel like the entire time they're in the Shimmer is supposed to feel dreamlike.
Mm-hmm. So, the film stars Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Tessa Thompson, and Oscar Isaacs. This movie went through an interesting road to become a movie, though. It was made, and during screen testing, it did really bad.
Really? I guess I'm not that surprised. It's pretty odd.
And David Ellison, who was a producer at Skydance, one of the producers of the film, was concerned that the film was, quote, too intellectual and, quote, too complicated, and demanded changes to make it appeal to a wider audience. But another producer, Scott Rudin, was like, no, bitch, we're not altering this film. And he actually had final cut privileges, so he defended the film and refused to take notes from Ellison.
Because, while I do think this movie is very metaphorical, I would say that it's, anti-intellectual to say it's, too complicated. And we need it for a wider audience. We're trying to make us dumber.
Also,
it upsets me.
Even if you don't get what's happening, it's still an interesting movie, and it looks cool for the most part. So,
yeah.
I just think that's dumb, period. Well, I think because of some of the beef behind the scenes, it did not end up getting as wide of a release as would have been desirable. And it went to streaming within a few weeks of being in theaters, which Garland was not pleased by. Of course. Because he said this movie was made for cinema.
I agree, yeah. It's very much a big screen type of movie.
Yeah.
Because even watching it here in our house with the lights on, not even lights, sorry, the light coming in from the windows, definitely hurts the viewing experience, I would say. And
frankly, I obviously want my movies to look good when I watch them at home as well as when I watch them in theaters. But this really would have been gorgeous on the big screen.
I agree.
Certain movies, just I wish I saw them in theaters because of how beautiful they would have looked. And this is certainly one of them.
And that's why we're seeing Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Jaws in theaters in the month of August. So
yes.
Because we got that opportunity.
The month that this releases.
I'm so excited. Oh, wow. Yep, crazy. Okay. Well, that'll be soon, so we'll report back on how good it is.
We can do that. One other quick fun fact, last one. The abandoned house that they camp at within the Shimmer, did anyone notice that it looked like anything else in the movie?
Which abandoned house? The one
that they're in with the bear?
Is that her house?
Yeah.
Oh.
Dreamlike. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Who is the dreamer? Right.
That's my last fun fact. Well, we can do our social media icebreaker question before we get too deep into talking about the movie or the book. Because it was a book, we asked our social media followers, what is your favorite horror book to movie/show adaptation? Kind of leaving room for some Hill House, which no one actually said, which rude.
Well, it's because it's completely different.
So is this, bitch.
That's true. Yeah.
So we did actually have someone say Annihilation. Steinmetz.Ethan said Annihilation, mainly because the book and the movie are trying to say different things. They're related, but they don't tread the exact same ground. Gory Rory 3 said The Exorcist 3. Stath is Cat said The Exorcist. Brit by Hobbs Knobs also said The Exorcist. And she said, this film is the reason I became a horror superfan. And then we had Spooky Sips Podcast say The Shining. And we also had KT Rose, horror writer on Blue Sky, say The Shining. And lastly, Matt, you're going to love this one.
I saw it.
You motherfucker, stop looking at my goddamn notes.
I saw it on the internet on Blue Sky.
Oh, that's okay then.
Yeah.
That's allowed. I was going to say, don't look at my shit.
I saw it because I got a notification.
Yeah.
They said a big great pick, which is Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
Which we have a great episode on, and I really enjoyed that movie
Price
a
of
lot.
One Coppola, Jack?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, have you seen it?
Yeah.
It's great, I think. Hanna hated it, I loved it.
I did not love it. I did not. I'm not a maximalist person in film.
It's very
it
maximalist.
is very maximalist.
Well,
so-
actually, it's not very. It's it's
Bitch, yes
maximalist.
it is. Yes it is.
Elvis is maximalist.
So is Bram Stoker's
Yeah,
Dracula.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's a great pick. So
I knew you would
that
love
pick
that
that.
one. Jason, do you want to talk about the book a little bit?
We can, if we want to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Wait, but first, this is the first time you've seen the movie.
Yes.
This is the second time I've seen the movie. How many times have you seen the movie? Hannah?
This is the second time I saw the movie.
Second time you've watched the movie.
First time reading the book.
And for both of you, first time reading the book, and
Yeah.
0 times for me.
So I had seen the movie, read the book, seen the movie, versus Jason, who read the book then saw the movie, just to give a little bit of context in case that somehow comes up and skewed our perceptions of anything. Jason, how did the movie and book compare? Broadly.
Broadly, I enjoyed them both. They're extremely different because one of the key things is that the book is not something that would be good to adapt to the screen.
No.
Yeah. So for people who are unfamiliar with the book, it's formatted. The premise is that people going into Area X, there are expeditions that carry diaries, and they're encouraged to write down everything that happens, and it's very much an introspective thing. So much of the book, well, first of all, none of the characters in the books are given names. They're only known as their roles, because the idea is to keep everything as unpersonal as possible. And so the book, broadly, is Natalie Portman's character, which would be the biologist. It's her diary entries chronicling the expedition. And so much of it is just her interior monologue of what's going on in her head. It's not an action-driven book. It's very much character-driven.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's very interesting, though, too, because she does not let us in. She is a very disconnected, self-isolated narrator and character. So there are bits and pieces of her life that we don't find out till a third or halfway through the book, because those are just not things that she's decided to reveal to us in her journal. And that actually there is a point where she's like, so actually, I might have withheld some information. My husband was on the expedition before this.
Okay. That's very interesting, because that's completely different.
Yeah.
But I kind of understand why the movie would show us that, given you have less time for that reveal to pay off well. You know?
Yeah, I get why the movie did it, but I think it was very interesting in the book to have that plot twist, because I feel like it does track with her characterization in the book, which is she's a little warmer in the movie than in the book.
Yeah, much warmer.
Yeah, she's very cold in the book.
Well, the problem, she's very self-contained. Like we can see from her diary entries, she has like a deep interior life that she does not express outwardly to anyone, including her husband.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes the book so interesting is the story is really, to me, about how disconnected she feels from people, including her husband. But throughout this journey, kind of learns that she actually is following the same journey that he did. And they have a lot more in common than she expected. And had she been more open and willing to let him in, she would have known that and maybe felt less disconnected.
It has a big thing when she's going, because I guess we've already gotten into spoilers for the books, but in any case, like when she finds her husband's journal and realizes that he wrote entries that could only have been written for her, and realizes like, oh, he's doing this just for me. He knows that I would find this interesting and that I would want to see this, and so he's writing it down in case I ever find it. And then she starts thinking, it's like, because her marriage had broken down before her husband goes into Area X. And he comes back and he's a different person. And then she's like, well, it doesn't matter. Our marriage was over before he went in. So not a lot has changed.
Well, but that's very different in the movie.
And I can see why, I guess that would make her, if they had done that and things like, oh yeah, like her marriage is on the rocks. It's almost entirely her fault.
Well,
I don't know if we could say that.
So she cheated in the
not
movie,
in the book.
So
Yeah, not in the book.
Did he cheat?
No. There's no cheating.
It's just she doesn't let him into anything, and she builds walls around herself because she is extremely introverted, and she makes a point of saying that her husband is very extroverted and tries to break her out of her shell, and she just doesn't want that.
Okay.
And I guess that would make her less sympathetic to a movie audience.
I agree. Yeah.
I just think it's a much more interesting layer to add to that than
in the book.
But there's not. I don't think...
You're right. It's easier to convey infidelity versus, like, just non-compatibleness, whatever we would say, in a film.
We see character growth in the book in a way I don't think we see it in the movie. I think...
That's definitely not the movie's focus.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
We'll get to it in themes, which I think will be most of our discussion on this anyway, but... and I think doing thematic comparisons between the two books would be really cool.
Yeah.
So I do think, though, based on how you're speaking about the book, it seems that the movie had a very different intent than the book, which is not a bad thing. It's just a very different type of adaptation. So
the movie wants to be a commercial success, and people don't want to sit and watch something that's just going to just make them sad the entire time.
For sure.
If they're watching a marriage breakdown and something they don't understand. The movie, you said in the beginning, is that it was already confusing. And you don't want to add even more layers to that.
Yeah.
Or do you?
Oh, I don't know. It's interesting because the movie was already too intellectual. Yeah. So, like, clearly Garland still wanted to do something highbrow, whatever we would call it. I mean, I think to a degree it is.
Garland as a writer. I think his intention is to make you think quite a bit. So it's
I do like Garland as a writer.
Yeah.
I feel like he's hit or miss as a director, but like 28 years later, like both of those. And I've enjoyed everything. He wrote.
I've enjoyed everything he's directed. Sorry. I am an Alex Garland truther, and until at this rate, I will die that way. I just think he's pretty rad because he just kind of does what he wants, and he doesn't really give a shit like what you have to say about it. And he actually is just simply not worried about being a commercial success at all.
And that's how a good director is.
Yeah.
Born. That's what makes a good director versus a bad director. Is you make the story that you want to tell.
He's very much focused on the art.
But then, as much as I've said I've enjoyed like parts of Warfare, I do have like, and I do have complaints about it that I think are valid.
Well, also keep in mind that's not like he was not the primary screenwriter. Or
it was a real story. He wasn't the primary director.
I mean, he was there for like. The film part, but Ray Mendoza was the one who primarily wrote.
I was going to say, I have no problem with the writing of that movie. I actually have a problem with how some things are portrayed. Like the enemy being faceless throughout the whole thing is really... It harkens back to an upsetting time in U.S. history, I would say. of pretending that our enemies overseas weren't
Do you
real
think
people.
maybe that could be intentional?
if
Calling us out for feeling that way?
If it doesn't do a very good job.
That's fair. I think whether it does a good enough job at that is maybe a different
It
question.
ends up feeling a little propaganda-y, is what I would say, which is funny because he's not even from the U.S.
Yeah, I think he is very anti-war, actually.
Yeah.
Based off his other projects.
Well,
So I definitely don't think that's his intention. So, but intent
It
versus
doesn't-
final
it's just how
product
it comes out.
are different. But anyway, this.
Okay, so back to Annihilation, the book. Since you guys, is there more stuff you guys want to say about it before we start bumping into movies?
I don't know if there's too much more that we have to say, and because we're going to get into comparisons later on. You can see a lot of the same motifs are there, as you could call them. A lot of the same imagery and some coincidental things predicting the sequels.
Which is so funny to me.
Yeah.
What a genius writer Alex Garland apparently is, that he predicted what this man was already writing in the sequels.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike, I guess. Yeah, I would just say that I do recommend the book if you liked the movie, despite them. I mean, like we said, they're fairly different, but at its core, I think what makes both of them successful is something I think if you appreciate one, you'll appreciate the other. And I do think the book is very interesting in that, like, nothing happens and it's still a good book. And I fuck with that heavy.
Yeah, I think when people say like nothing else. When I was reading reviews about it, people were like, "Oh, this guy needs an editor. It's all like it's like yap yap yap. There's no action."
That's like the whole point.
That's the point.
Like, yeah, it's like, literally that's.
It's a
I
character
love
study.
character studies are so fascinating to me.
I mean, that's the word you would use for it, right? Is
well,
character study.
The thing, like, I'm not a quick reader, but I read Annihilation the book in like 3 or 4 days. Like I just blitzed through this because I couldn't put it down. I always I got to the end of a chapter and it's like I need to know what happens next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that. I definitely felt that with this. Yeah, I definitely think it's more focused on the internal experiences of the character and how their way of seeing the world or other people changes throughout the book versus what actually is happening to the character in the book.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you want to start jumping into movie talk then? And then we can always come back to book when it's in comparison. Does that work for you guys?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Cool. Okay. So let's jump in and do our 15-second summaries and then my full plot description, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. Hannah, would you like to go first for 15-second summary?
No, but
All right.
perhaps I must.
All right, you ready?
Okay.
All right, go.
Lady's husband goes on expedition, comes back totally different person with like health problem, cancer ? So she decides to go on the same mission that he was on.
All right.
I'm just gonna end.
That's
there.
only the exposition, but you got it.
Yeah, the motivation
Okay.
I felt I captured.
Are you
Someone
ready?
else can take it from there, bro.
You ready for me to go?
I was also distracted because our new kitten is stalking the dog right now, who's next to me, and the kitten is below me.
They had beef earlier, and Norton. Well, actually, I think it was a draw. They both kind of beat the shit out of each other a little bit, and nobody take that out of context to get my pets taken away. They're fine. They're just doing normal territorial.
There's
stuff.
no blood.
There's no blood.
There's no blood. There's no scratches.
There was no
There's
scratches.
no bites.
It was more just a little smack around, like, hey. But unfortunately, Norton doesn't know any. Oh, now they're trying to fight. That was crazy.
That was actually Aster.
Aster tried to come up.
I think so.
Aster starting beef.
Yeah, I think so.
That's hilarious.
That's the new
Aster,
kitten.
It's okay, buddy.
My poor baby.
Okay, I'm leaving all that in.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. As I was talking about them starting beef, they were about to start beef.
Yeah, no, literally. I hope the hiss showed up.
He's underneath me. Oh, his tail's all puffy. He'll be okay. Okay. They gotta figure each other out still. Okay, it's my turn to do a 15-second summary. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so these 5 women go in to stop this Shimmer thing that's kind of like cancer and changing things, but probably just a metaphor for the changes that happen when we face traumatic things. And then most of them have different deaths or different consumptions by the trauma, and one of them gets out but is a changed person. Bang. 15 seconds exactly.
Beautiful.
All right, Jason, you ready?
Yeah, mine's gonna be shorter.
Go.
Woman seeks resolution about husband and somehow loses him even more.
Whoa. That is debatable, but we'll get to it. I don't know. That's what we're going to find out. Because I think
he
she
is dead.
does find resolution. No, I don't think he's dead. Let's talk about this
Okay,
batshit movie.
can we argue about the end real quick since you seem to disagree with me?
It's all gonna be part of the thematic talk. It's like all ties in.
I know, but I'm talking
Also,
about
the actual
literal
text
narrative.
ending doesn't matter at all, in my opinion.
Okay, but
that's part of it.
But like
Okay,
he's
fine. No, I don't think
in the
he's
movie
dead.
he's dead.
No, disagree.
He set himself on fire. He's dead.
It's not a different guy.
No, that's him.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why I kept complaining that the
but not
accent
exactly.
was
Yeah,
different.
southern accent.
Yeah, I was so confused by the accent. I was like, why is that happening?
He is changed. Same with her, though. She's not. Neither of them are them, but they both are still them.
They're
not dead.
They're like doppelgangers.
No.
They're
That's
dead.
simplifying. They're not dead.
Okay, well, in the book, it's a doppelganger. That's why I'm saying.
And I don't think I don't think in the
assuming-
movie he's a doppelganger. In the movie, I believe that it is him.
He literally says it's not, though.
He says, "I don't think so," but she's not her either. She doesn't answer the question. The whole point is that being in there changed them.
Yeah, I know.
Have like the motif that's said at the very beginning about replication and things like cells duplicating. And I think because I read the book first. I read the movie through the lens of the book. And in the book, one of the themes that gets explored, especially at the very end, is that nothing that goes into Area X comes out of it. Like things stay that in itself is also not clear. Maybe things do come out of it, but echoes of them remain in Area X. And so do we have an echo of the husband, or did the husband himself I lean towards the idea that the husband died and that it was an echo produced by Area X for some reason.
Out.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's still not part of him, because as we know,
well, obviously it's an echo of him or a duplicate of him. Like it is a piece of him.
Let's look scientifically then. No,
we're not disagreeing with that. We're not disagreeing.
But I'm saying, like, scientifically, you are also dead by that logic as well, because all of your cells that you once were have died, and all of your cells have been replaced. It's like Shimmer thesis, right?
Yeah, okay. We're not disagreeing with that. We're just saying that the him that was...
I think to say he's dead or not is reductive, maybe. I just don't think it's, like, the point. Like, I also just don't think it's true. He's both not... He's like Schrodinger's Oscar Isaac, you know? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to bring the book into it again because I think this is pertinent and might have been implicit in the screen depiction, is that the scene she's talking about in the book, there's a boat that her husband gets restored because he's a big boat guy, and said when he came back out of Area X and was looking at the boat, there was a frustration because he looked at the boat and he said, I know this means something to me, but I don't know what.
Sure. So there's some of him there still. That's my point.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's changed, as everyone that goes in has.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
That's all right. Well, when we get to themes, I think it'll make more sense. But
I know what you're going to say thematically. I'm also not arguing with that. But I think you're looking at it purely from a thematic purpose, which is like sometimes the text and the themes don't like 100%.
But I will say, let's just talk about like what we liked and didn't like, and then I think we have a lot of thematic discussion. So, Hannah, you said you thought this movie was very pretty.
I had a lot of trouble seeing it this time because our new apartment, we haven't quite figured out the window glare situation. So I actually saw very little of the movie this time, if I'm being honest.
Only some of the darker scenes.
No, I saw like almost none of this movie. The whole thing was like a glare.
Oh, really? You should have moved. With Jason,
that's why I moved. Did you see where I ended up sitting? It was very deeply uncomfortable. Okay, so... the first time I saw this movie, I remember thinking it was really cool looking. And what I think is done well is not necessarily the way it's like shot or anything, but I think the effect used to show the shimmer or cool. Area X is very cool. And I think it is a really great way to show something that I think is impossible to show or describe. Like, I think it is the best effort at showing something that I don't think we can actually put into words or images or feelings.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah, the colors are really pretty.
I agree with everything. I also want to touch on, I think the performances, especially Jennifer Jason Leigh's, is good. I mean, everyone's good. I just really like her, and I think this is such a perfect role for her. She's almost typecast at this point, playing this kind of character. But big fan.
Yeah,
and Oscar Isaac with limited screen time.
Yeah. I think everyone is like
Fine.
effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be like anyone is award winning here, but I think everyone is doing exactly what they need to be doing for what their character was written as for the screen.
For sure. Jason, anything you liked a lot about it? Things you want to comment?
No, I mean, the imagery is phenomenal. Like, the expression, I love seeing the guy with the guy that they cut the stump open, and it's like against the wall of the pool, and it's like having stretched out, and it's flowers and it's skeleton. Like, that's beautiful. Well, not
What's her name
beautiful, but it's
turning
kinda
into
horrifying.
flowers?
But
it's really cool.
Yeah. But the pacing was very good. I enjoyed like the intercutting between the like flashbacks, which are all in Area X or the Shimmer, and the interviews afterwards. I think did a good job of mimicking the book structure, where it's like half of it is her day-to-day stuff inside Area X, and half of it is her thinking back to her life outside, which would have otherwise been very difficult to express like visually. But yeah, I think it got a lot of because it was in the book, it's not something that's easy to adapt to the screen because it's all internal, but I think the film did a good job expressing a lot of like the essence of what the book was going for.
There you go. That's a good adaptation then.
Yeah.
Even though it's like very different, that's like a thematic, or not even thematic, but a vibes adaptation. I don't know what word I would use for it.
It really does capture the vibes, I think,
Yeah.
well. I also think that the movie's cool in that it kind of elaborates a little bit more about some of the things that we're experiencing in the book, with like how the creatures are like their inherent DNA is like shifting
changing,
within the area.
And how DNA is combined between people too.
Yeah.
Like the as she dies, that it takes her vocal cords, right? And then can replicate the one girl's voice. Or what's her name takes the tattoo, Natalie Portman takes the tattoo of Jane the Virgin, as I'm calling her, because I don't know her name. Like the tattoo literally transfers. So like it's not just that the tattoos transfer, but parts of each person transfer and change it. It's even like changing their personalities, changing who they are. Right. I think that's what that's supposed to be representative of.
I do really like the score for this movie. I think it is pretty restrained, actually. Like, I love the music in the trailer, and I remembered it being so much more prevalent in the film itself, which for a while I was like kind of sad, but I do think that it is fairly restrained, and it is used, when it is used, is really effective and creates a really cool ambiance for the particular scene. And I think that the sound is very it fits really well. I was about to be like, it's on brand, but then I was like, that's dumb.
It's alien sounding. It's desperate. It's upsetting.
It like doesn't sound human or normal or natural. It's not a natural sound.
But it's like kind of thematically it has the feelings of this is something that feels familiar but yet unnatural, which like fits everything in this, right? The change brought upon by the unnatural being or whatever it is, you know. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about that you liked? Got nothing? Jason, you?
I also think what we talked about, the like cancer cells, I think that is a good addition, how they show that in like the beginning and how that comes up.
Cancer's all over this movie.
Throughout the movie, I think makes the movie make a lot more sense for us dum-dums out there. I think it ties it together well. Right,
there's the whole like the what's it called? The Shimmer itself is like kind of a cancer that's like mutating everything. Jennifer Jason Leigh's character has cancer, so she goes in not worrying about dying. Shepard's daughter died of cancer, and as she says, it's like two deaths. You mourn both the daughter and then the person she used to be, which, oh my God, it's another like reference to the fact that going in there changes who you are. So yeah. Well, I was going to say things I don't like, if that's okay, which I was saying, I will say I don't really find this movie interesting at all until Valkyrie turns into a flower. And basically everything after that, I'm like, this is awesome. I'm locked in.
You didn't find it interesting at all before that? The first hour and a half of the movie?
I don't particularly find it very fun. I find it kind of like slow and not in a good way. I don't like the pacing at that point. It sounds like mean, but it's just like, I feel like it feels a little, other than them being in the Shimmer, it feels a little run of the mill to me.
This is actually crazy because I feel like we've talked in the past and you've said you liked Annihilation better than Ex Machina.
I changed my mind after watching it.
Really like, yeah.
I changed my mind after watching it.
I was going to be like, bro, what the fuck?
I think it's good, but I think like them fighting the bear is like, oh, and like the animals, it's like, we're not really moving forward in the more interesting part of the story for a while.
But
it feels a little
But I feel
more...
like those things are... You
they
just echoed that they are very important to what the movie's trying to say. You need pieces of them there.
Sure, you need pieces of it. I just think like it goes on too long. And I just think like by the time I actually once I get to what's her name turning into flowers, I'm like, this is great.
I think the pacing of the book would kill you then.
Yeah.
Or the pacing of the book would be more interesting because I'm just not interested in this like camping, monster hunting drama that it feels like I'm having for a little bit.
I vaguely agree with this, but I don't know how I would solve it because I think in the movie you definitely have, it's more straightforward. You have people, they're going to do a thing, they have an end goal, and stuff happens to them along the way. The book doesn't have that, and I can see like a lot of it.
It's very much like we're going in and we're taking data points and seeing if we can make sense of them. And that is the goal. This is kind of like we're going in and we're getting to the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Which like is part of where the characters end up aiming to go in the book, but that's not like the A to Z goal.
And there are parts throughout I like. I like when they find the footage. I like when they all of a sudden 3 days is gone. I kind of like the lead up to it. There's just these parts that I think with animals that drag on a little long. And like also what's her name tying them all up. I'm just like, like I've seen this before is how it felt. And like it's like, the expedition gone wrong is how I feel for a little. And it's like there's so much more this movie is doing that I kind of just want to get to that.
Yeah.
And I knew that ending was coming. So I like even more was just like, okay, just give me to the really cool part. And I do remember her turning into the flowers being beautiful and a really moving and amazing scene. And then I just felt like everything after that was
that would
so
have been
fun.
An interesting thing from the book to incorporate in the movie was the infection aspect of the book.
Yeah.
It wasn't there at all. Because in in things in the book, there's... the biologist calls it the tower. It's an underground thing. It's an organism. There's a staircase that spirals down, and there's organic writing on the wall. It's like vaguely like Old Testament kind of scriptural things, but it's living. And the first time she goes down, she goes and like a spore explodes, and she inhales it.
Okay, and that's like part of the DNA.
From
changing.
that point forward, like she doesn't know like how is this affecting me?
Her. Yeah.
And also,
we're in here the second you
aspect.
walk in, your DNA is changing because it's like a refracting
light.
Well,
the thing is all of the people still do end up as doppelgangers in this anyway, in the book. But she is the one who, what did they call it? What did they call it in the book? The light, what does she call the light that's in her, which is basically the result of the spore? Does she call it
a glow or a shimmer?
Yeah. Because shimmer, I'm like, am I getting that just from the movie? But yeah, basically, because of the spore that like...
The brightness, I think.
Yeah, in her face. She starts to feel this internal change that then the people on the expedition with her, when they encounter her can sense and see a change in her.
Well, that's very different in the movie then, right? Because like all of them change.
Well, then they all become doppelgangers too, which is a separate thing that we barely get explanation for, just that it happened.
Okay.
It's very interesting. It is quite different in that regard. Mm-hmm. But I still think there's enough of the overall changing and mutating that I see why Garland focused on that for the film.
All right. Anything you guys dislike you want to talk about, or can we spend our next 20 minutes arguing about themes?
I actually don't find the cheating subplot that compelling in the movie. Mm-hmm. I think we could have done without it.
Okay.
Yeah, that seemed like a kind of somewhat lazy attempt to add depth and conflict to the relationship.
I'm going to have an answer to it during themes. I'm ready.
Okay.
Sure. I don't know if you're going to.
I might not convince you, but I think there's a reason for it.
I can understand the reason for it. I just don't know. I agree with Jason. It feels kind of lazy to me.
Sure, and I do agree it's lazy in comparison to what they did in the book. 100%. I think it's just a choice based on time.
Yeah.
And how easy it is to convey. It's very easy to convey someone cheating versus falling out of love or whatever it is, or not being right for each other in the first place.
Yeah.
I also will say that and this episode will have come out already, this movie has a lot of parallels to Together, in my opinion, which is crazy. We just saw it together, so. Yeah. No, don't see it at all?
I'll see how you describe it.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I feel it internally.
Oh, sure. Internally, yes. I think it has a lot of parallels with Significant Other. Yeah,
I agree with that. I didn't really like that movie that much. That movie kind of feels like it was trying to be this movie a little bit. Or like take from it. I don't remember it too well, but I do remember watching it. It had, what's her name from Long Legs, right?
Yeah, Micah Monroe.
Okay, let's talk themes. So, I'm going to say a couple things first, since I've been dying to talk about it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, 6 years ago, a video called Annihilation and Decoding the Metaphor by Folding Ideas came out. And I remember watching it and thinking it was like a really, really good video. So I had to rewatch part of it.
Yeah, Matt didn't get any of this from his own brain.
Some of it, no.
He's a thief.
I'm a thief. Well,
thief.
basically, this guy made this whole video about how people were all arguing about what the ending means, and it's like, yeah, the alien escaped. It did its master plan, and they're gonna have a bunch of alien babies. And this guy was like, "This is the most anti-intellectual." Like this, and his argument was that the ending is not ambiguous at all. Is it ambiguous? Is that the word? Ambiguous at all. If you follow it thematically, and a lot of the times with those types of endings, if you actually just look at themes, the endings are right there. Say something like Mulholland Drive, that people will say this has an ambiguous ending. It really does not if you look at it from an emotional and thematic standpoint, right? You can solve it. But his argument throughout this, and I agree, is that the whole movie and the Shimmer itself is about the change that happens from trauma and like significant events that happen to you. So each character is also affected by it differently based on their previous trauma or based on their just life-changing events that happen. So if you look, our first character that dies is the one that had her daughter die from leukemia, right? And she just dies from happenstance. So just boom, gets plucked out by a bear, which is exactly like her first self dying. Her daughter just got cancer and died, right? Yeah. So like there's no Hannah's thinking hard over there. That was a response. No?
No.
So second one to die is Jane the Virgin. She has substance abuse issues. They basically say that her change from it comes from her bringing it upon herself. That sounds bad when we're talking about substance abuse, but it's more that she shoots the bear comes at her, she goes out in this kind of active more role, which with substance abuse a lot of times that it's an active thing. Obviously, at a point with that, you don't have a choice because it's addiction, but that's like how they look at it. The one that has been harming herself decides to come to peace with her trauma and actually like grows through it. But her whole thing is, I don't want to fight my trauma. I don't want to face it. I'm just going to embrace and understand this is part of me, and then goes on to become the flower and is one with it.
I would consider that facing it, though. Accepting. She
doesn't, you're right, she accepts. She doesn't fight it. Yes, agreed. Jennifer Jason Leigh is the cancer, right? She goes, sorry, this cat is bouncing around. She goes and is trying to understand. She's trying to understand the trauma, right? And understand this cancer and understand the pain. But unfortunately, it's something that isn't understandable. So she ends up going in there, facing it. And it's something that is just there. And she ends up getting like destroyed because internally her body is just destroying itself. And then finally, Natalie Portman faces hers, right? She turns around, she tries to run away from the trauma, it suffocates her, and she turns and faces it. And when she accepts that it's part of herself, she's able to escape and move on. However, she's not the same person because you have to acknowledge the trauma, acknowledge this thing, and then you can be a different person while still the same person. And then I guess the same happens with Oscar Isaac. Her trauma being just bad relationship, I guess, her husband being away for months on end, things like that. So you follow Hanna? She's not about it.
Yeah, no, I don't think that your explanation for our main characters
Her ending?
effective.
Well, she tries to fight it. She doesn't realize that she's just fighting herself, right? That's what the alien is it's like she hits it hits her back.
Yes,
And she tries to ignore and run away from the feelings versus...
I just didn't understand how that was relevant to her husband.
To her
relationship.
So the thought is that they're not good beforehand because both of them are ignoring traumas and ignoring issues. She's... Part of her trauma is probably that this dude is away a bunch of times and her relationship is bad. And instead of like facing that or trying to fix it, she just cheats. And like clearly he is also not there as a partner the way that she wants him to be. I think that's kind of left up to interpretation, at least based on the book, right? And so with both of them going in there and facing, which both of them apparently do, which is why they're able to get out, they can then come back together at the end as different people who are now better for each other. Which is why they hug and their lights change. Their eye colors, irises change. Okay, any thoughts or debate my themes? Jason's thinking.
I am thinking. Well, this trauma would be... Well, it's a big one because, like, in the book, she's filled with regret for how the marriage worked out. And one aspect from the book that I wish they had incorporated into the movie was that in the book, she's the one that alerts them that her husband is back.
Yeah.
She's the one... They gave her, like, a little card. It's like, in case of emergency, call this number. He comes back, he's there for about 24 hours, and she's like, something is weird about this guy. And she alerts the agency that he's come back, and they come and take him. I understand it's more visually exciting to have an ambulance intercepted by a bunch of masked military people, but like that is something, it nags in the back of her mind. It's like, I am the one. And I mean...
He was also sick in this. I'm guessing he wasn't sick in the book.
He died from cancer in the book.
Oh.
But it was over the course of like a year.
Okay.
Yeah, before.
Dude, there's cancer all over this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the trauma, is like cancer is a lot of different people's trauma.
But I also do think like, I think they had to inherently change it because she was so cold in the book that they didn't want to keep this like self-isolating cold woman who called to have her husband picked up because she just like couldn't deal with it. That would not make for a compelling film protagonist. So I understand why they decided to then change it and try to go the cheating route. But yeah, I think, like we've said, I think it does work a lot better in the book.
I think, Buckley's described as like eco horror too, which I think like the environmental aspect is something that's really fascinating because it's something, I don't think it's unique to this book. I think it comes from a lot or even most horror is that it's not, something is scary because we don't understand it, right? And I guess in most horror you have, it's the other force, it's a malevolent force, but Area X isn't necessarily malevolent. It's just doing something that we don't understand. And that's what's scary. And if you see on the book, and I think the movie might be going somewhat in the same direction with this, is that like when an echo of someone is left in Area X, they become more and more part of the environment. They're not left as a person, they kind of morph into something else. And so it's like an inversion of like man shaping nature. Well, here's nature shaping man now.
I could also see it along with that as kind of global warming like motif, right? As this like destructive force that changes things, emanates outwards and grows bigger. But I would also say about the destructive change goes kind of back to the trauma one as well. So it fits both for sure. I like the environmental aspect of it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things reading it. It's like he goes into so much detail. Like even just the characters, the narrator is a biologist. She spends so much time talking about like the thing. It's like, oh, here's this ecosystem. And it's like, oh, the animals are behaving in a strange way. And it's like so much emphasis is placed on the environment.
I like it. It's good. I don't know if they get into that as much with the movie because he very much had a different idea in mind, but like the remnants are still there.
Yeah.
You can see a lot, especially like the flowers and just the general area. And I think
for sure,
it's
very cool. It's what our world's going to look like if we don't stop burning fossil fuels. You know, we're going to have glass trees and cancerous flowers.
Sure.
No,
yeah. There's a lot of themes in this too, though, about self-destruction.
You're totally right, and I forgot to bring that up because no, for real, like it's a big one, and they even state it right about is that like the folly of man and woman is to self-destruct, and that's like part of our genetics. But like first of all, the mission itself is self-destructive.
Yeah, like they know
it's a
they're
suicide
not
mission.
coming back. Yeah.
Lena is having an affair and destroying her marriage, which, this is a good point. Maybe Kane knows that that's happening. She thinks, and that's why he goes in there to begin with. So that's his trauma, if we go back to that one. And I'm trying to think about the other one. I guess Lena ends up destroying the part of herself, lighting it on fire. But she does get out, so that's a little tough. But each character has self-destructive tendencies, whether it's, well, except for the mom.
Before the story.
Before alcoholism or whatever.
Yeah.
She's self-harm. What's her name has cancer, which isn't self-destructive, but she's acting self-destructive because she has cancer.
And her body is self-destructing.
Yes, and obviously like the whole Shimmer is a self-destruction and changing DNA and that code.
That's an interesting thing if we talk about just the origin of the title, Annihilation. Do you remember this?
Yeah, in the book. So there's this piece in the book where the psychologist is actually hypnotizing the women on the expedition. And her word for hypnotizing Lena and making Lena die by suicide, I believe, correct, is annihilation. So at one point when she knows Lena is going through this change and she sees like the brightness in Lena, she starts yelling annihilation over and over again. Versus here, obviously, it's not used that way because there's no element of that. And instead, she says annihilation right before her body really self-annihilates.
So, Hannah, you're going to be mad at me because I looked something up and someone made a very good point about what happens to Oscar Isaac versus what that goes along with the self-destruction. And it's that he meets his doppelganger, whatever it is. And obviously it's like still part of him, but he instead with all of it decides to blow himself up. And then finally the only person that doesn't do that is Lena, who actually ends up like fighting and facing it, which is maybe breaking the cycle of self-destruction. So that's another way to read it. So maybe he did die. I still think it's partially him, partially not him, because, and same with her, but that's like an interesting way is that he completely self-destructs at the end and she's the one to finally not. Because everyone kind of does, right? I mean, even I really like what's her name accepting it and turning it into the flowers, but that still is some level of self-destruction and kind of like giving up on this fight, which is like a very sad way. If it's like a very beautiful way to go out that also feels like I don't know if it's supposed to be like sad and being a metaphor for suicide or not.
Yeah, it's
which it feels like both a happy and sad metaphor for suicide, and that hurts my brain a little.
I think in a very, very broad sense, the movie is just essentially about how like our life events, the things in our environment, the people we're around, it's all going to change us in some way.
Yep.
Yeah.
The people we marry. I mean, you and I are changed people.
Because of who we met and married, You're
right. It's not just trauma. I think trauma is such a big part about these 5 characters in here, but you're right.
Yeah,
it's more about our circumstance.
Yeah. And that's why the characters do mix together, like with the tattoo.
Yes.
Things that you do will impact me. Things others, that occur in my life or to the people around me will have some impact on me or how I see the world later.
Completely agree. I think maybe part of it is that the traumatic thing has more of an effect, possibly, is maybe why Garland decided to focus on that element of it. Right. But you're right. It's everyone. It's a cool movie.
And just on the surface, it just gives them motivation to be there because they don't have anything else going on.
That's one thing I loved about the book was how impersonal everything was and how everyone was just known by their role, and that just wouldn't have worked in the movie.
No,
you need names and you need backstories for us to care about what's happening.
Yeah, it's so interesting how impersonal the book is and how we still find it interesting enough to care.
Yeah. So there's one more thing I want to bring up, and it was also in this video I talked about, and I think Jason will enjoy this, but they basically said that this movie follows pretty much the hero's journey, except a little bit different at the end. And I wanted to see if you agreed, because obviously hero's journey or hero's circle, as some people call it.
Right.
And the big parts of it meaning like you start out as one thing, and at the end of the hero's journey, you return to norm, but you can't exactly go back. Right. Examples being Luke Skywalker, nowhere to go back. Frodo, basically being completely traumatized, and the world is different. But in this example, she is actually DNA changed. However, the home she couldn't return to because it would be the same and she's changed is also changed. Her home being Oscar Isaac.
Right.
Which is very weird subversion.
It's very interesting to think because it's very simple. You got your classic, you go on the journey, you have thing happen at the end, you overcome, and then you return changed. Mm-hmm. Like very literally changed, but like her entire thing at the very beginning of the movie, it's like her life is different because her husband is dead, but oh no, husband's not dead. It's like everything, but he's not alive either.
Her husband being, whatever he is her call to action. Right.
And that, it is very, because it's not, I guess we'd call it like a satisfying ending in a sense like Lord of the Rings is like, oh, you have a big epic thing, and then there's like your classic story arc, and this isn't that. But it works because it, I don't even know how to describe it. It's,
Well, but Lord of the Rings also, while it is satisfying, like Frodo having to leave is very sad. Mm-hmm. And like it makes sense, but it is like it hurts. Yeah. Because he has been so significantly changed by the story. He's no longer welcome. Mm-hmm. He's welcome, but you know what I mean? He's no longer belongs in the Shire. And like that, or at least internally, and that's kind of what would happen here. But the subversion is that because her home has changed so much as well, that it actually does, it should be satisfying, right?
Yeah, I guess when I think about that, like change means something only insofar as you remain the same as well. Mm-hmm. Like if it's like a station, not a station.
Change is relative. Yeah. Is what you're, right. It's relative to your surroundings.
Like Frodo's change means something because you have Frodo is still Frodo, but he's just gone through so much, and like his, like, I guess his like paradigm of looking at the world has shifted somewhat. But to change and have the matter that's being changed change also, like I guess like a two-step change. Mm-hmm.
But it's a negative times a negative.
Yeah,
you're back to normal, right? Back to positive. Yeah. Well, it is a cool movie. I honestly wish I liked it more because I like it, but I don't love it. I think it's cool to talk about, though. All right, Hannah, you ready to rate this thing? You guys rating the book too?
Yeah, we will rate the book. Let's do a quick this or that of sci-fi.
Sure. I always forget we had this.
/ cosmic core.
Okay, I'm ready.
Jason, if you haven't seen the film we're comparing it to, you can just pass. I know Matt has seen all of these, so. Okay. Annihilation or No One Will Save You.
Annihilation. No One Will Save You is the alien one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Annihilation.
Annihilation.
That's a pass for Jason.
Yeah, okay.
No One Will Save You is way scarier, but...
Annihilation or 28 Days Later.
Oh, I don't like this. 28 Days Later. That's really hard, though. I would pass for that, too, damn.
Annihilation or High Life.
Annihilation.
Okay, good. Because you did like High Life.
I like High Life a lot, but
okay.
I don't know.
Annihilation or The Vast of Night?
The Vast of Night.
Okay.
No, I'm the only one that's seen that. You would love that movie, Jason. The Vast of Night. It's an alien movie, but it's all in one take, and it's basically just people hearing it on the radio and trying to figure out what's going on.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
All right, boys. I know you've seen both of these. Annihilation or Event Horizon?
Annihilation.
Yeah, Annihilation.
Nice. Yeah. I agree. Annihilation or Ex Machina?
Ex Machina.
Yeah.
That's very... Boy, howdy, I'm not well watched.
Whoa, I can't believe you haven't seen Ex Machina.
You definitely should. It's Garland's.
You might, based on your taste, might like Annihilation better. Because I think you like cosmic / eldritch horror and this kind of existential horror where Ex Machina is much more self-contained. It's really contained.
I think it's just a fucking
it's a pretty perfect
beautiful movie. It's a gorgeous looking movie. I think it's a
perfect screenplay, as we've said before.
Yeah.
It's about a robot. I mean, it's about like them doing the Turing test, basically.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, you have the screenplay for this.
I do.
Somewhere.
Yes, we do.
We
do have the screenplay for this. Yeah.
It's quite good.
Yeah.
And Oscar Isaac it's one of his better roles. I mean, he's good in a lot of stuff, but he's
really good in it.
He's really good because he's playing this like Zuckerberg freak, but also still hot and buff like Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's rate this thing.
All right, let's rate the book. What would you give it out of 5?
Out of 5? 4.25 out of 5.
That's a good rating for a book.
That might have been what I gave it in Storygraph.
Oh.
To be fair, I struggle to give things below a 3.5. It has to be a real piece of shit to be rated below that. But I'm pretty sure that is what I gave it. Funny enough. Okay. Movie. And sorry, I'm being inconsistent. That is simply how I rate books out of 5, but movies out of 10.
Movie out of 10?
Oh, I rate the movie out of 10, but it's both.
Yeah. If we rate the movie out of 10.
I do out of 10, but I only do whole numbers, so it's basically rating it out of 5.
Yeah.
You know,
but I do
with half
wackadoodle stuff.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. That's my feeling on it. I like this movie. I don't love it.
I'd also give it a 7 out of 10. I think there are things that could have thematically been done better.
The first time I saw it, I swear I would have given it like an 8.5, but this time I'm more leaning around to 7.5.
I think we've grown past this one a little bit. Like, there has been stuff that I think has done similar things, maybe, that have done it better.
Truly.
But this, like, laid groundwork.
Truly, I think if I could see it better...
Well, that's a us problem.
Could change how I felt about it this time around, which is entirely a me problem. And a need for darker curtains, I guess.
That last 30 minutes, though, 9 out of 10.
That last 30 minutes.
30 minutes so much.
Rips, yeah.
It is so cool. The music, it's just, it's horrifying. It's beautiful. It's this cool mix, and I just kind of wish we got more of that. Yep, that is how it sounds.
I didn't realize that was Oscar Isaac's in his doppelganger. I was very confused by that point.
Well, that's what I get confused too.
It's because the stupid accent.
Yeah, the accent throws me off.
The accent was...
But is it, or is it the doppelganger? They're both half in each other at that point. Like, Oscar Isaac has changed. Maybe he had an accent because he's changed so much in being there for a year. Right? So is it really him? That's where are they 50-50
I also
each
don't know.
of them?
We have no idea if he was actually there alive for a year. We don't know at what point his doppelganger became the only currently alive edition of
I like
him.
the idea that maybe he was there for a year and that's why his hair has changed, his accent's changed, like all that.
Yeah, we won't know.
Well, okay. Do we want to do our -5 +5?
Yeah, this is the Matt Dalton scale. -5 to +5,
and it's more about your... How do I explain Enjoyment / recommendation.
How much you would recommend it. Versus
basically, think about 0 as complete indifference, is the way I would say it. So sometimes it lines up with my score, but a lot of times it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because like a 5 doesn't feel like complete indifference, right? 5 out of 10. But a 0, I could think a movie's a 7 out of 10, but be completely indifferent about it, right?
It's true.
I would be completely... I
would give
-5 to +5, I would give it a 2.
A +2. So you do line up. 2. So you line up on this one.
I was going to give it a +3.
I was also going to give it a +3. I think it's a cool watch.
Yeah, I think it is a very cool watch.
But it's just not exactly for me. There are things about it that should be for me. I actually just wish it would take it further.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're Lynch heads over here.
I think maybe thematically, there's a lot of debate that we could clearly have over it, but I think as an overall piece of art, it's fairly accessible for a cosmic horror.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
yeah. Okay, well, we're at an hour, so that is the horror hour with the Hannas. So, Jason, thank you for joining us. Where can we find you?
At a library.
At a library.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Hopefully in Philadelphia soon.
Maybe.
Yeah, we're trying to get Jason to get a job near us.
All right, well, I've been Matt
Spread
Hanna.
your wings, butterfly. I'm Hanna.
Said the thing. I've been Matt Hanna.
I'm Hanna.
I'm Jason.
Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Horror Hour with the Hannas. Make sure to listen to future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever else you can find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube, where we post episodes and shorts. You can follow us at Horror Hour with the Hannas on TikTok and Instagram, as well as at Horror Hour on Blue Sky for more content. If you like the podcast, please follow and leave a review on your favorite podcasting app. Happy hauntings!